Tonight we do have an invited guest. I'd like to introduce Mr. Thomas Ewing. He is with the Snellville Historical Society. He gave me his biography here. He was born in 1930, about 3 miles from here on a farm. He attended local high school, graduated in 1948. He spent 23 years active duty with the United States Air Force. He graduated from Omaha University. He developed a love of history in 1970. He knows everything there is to know about Snellville history, and I've asked him to come forward and sort of give us a 5 minutes. And this is the beginning. I think we're starting with the Indians. Mr. Ewing, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a pleasure to be here to make a little historical presentation to the council and the members that have come to observe this evening. With the small time allotted, and I certainly understand that, I'm going to call it sound bites of the Snellville community history. I got in my time machine and took my camera this afternoon and went back and took a couple of pictures to try to set the stage of what this area looked like in 1818. This was the frontier. When Gwinnett County was formed in 1818, the frontier moved from what is approximately the Appalachian River in the eastern part of the county to the DeKalb County line. DeKalb County was not formed until later. This county was formed out of frontier land. It was not part of another county, with the exception of a little bit of the northeast that came out of Jackson. It was all original land. In the frontier, there were no Europeans, with the exception of a few squatters. And General Andrew Jackson had been directed by the president to remove it. And he made a sweep through here, not necessarily through Snellville, but through the jungle area. Postings were made up and down the Chattahoochee River, and there was an effort to remove the squatters that was in the Indian territory at that time. It is commonly stated that this was Cherokee Indian territory because you hear so much about the Trail of Tears and the removal of the Cherokees. The fact of the matter is, it is not Cherokee territory where Snellville sits. It is Creek territory. The Cherokee territory was north of here, and the law that removed the Indians west, the Creeks had been removed even before the Cherokees were. So, anyone tells you that this was Cherokee territory, they may think they're right. But I want to read you one brief statement. You can read, you can research and do all sorts of technical information about where a certain branch hit a certain river and that sort of thing, but it's summarized very briefly. The area which comprised the original counties of this lottery, we're going to talk about the lottery in just a second, was the largest section of land yet gained by Georgia. The northern half of Gwinnett County and the counties of Hall, Rayburn, and Habersham were ceded by the Cherokee Nation. The southern half of Gwinnett County, which we're in Gwinnett County, all of Walton, early arid Appleton counties were ceded by the Creeks. That treaty was in January of 1818. Now, once the land was ceded, the state immediately formed counties. This is Gwinnett County right here. Now, when the man said all the northern half of Gwinnett County and this area up here, that was the Cherokee territory. The southern half of Gwinnett County, Walton, and these counties down here, again, that was Creek territory. Now what happened? So as the counties were formed, then they surveyed the land into 250-acre plots called landlots, split up into land districts and land lots. Each land lot came, as I said, 250 acres. I'm going to talk about one land lot. A fellow by the name of Antoine Piquot from Richmond County, Augusta, Georgia, drew landlocked 26 in the 5th Land District. Does anyone know what that means? Snellville is sitting right in the middle of landlocked 26 in the 5th Land District. We don't know whether Mr. Bob ever came to this territory and looked at his land, or what he sold, his option, or what took place. One reason we don't know is because the courthouse burned in Gwinnett County in 1871, therefore you can't trace the land records. I am going to go to Augusta and see if there's any recordings of it down there. We do know that Mr. Paul lived his life out in Augusta, raised his family there, so it is not likely that he ever lived here, but he may have traveled here just to look over his land. There's a grid that I drew up of 9 landlots. 6, 7, 8, and I got the wrong one up here. It's 25, 26, and 27, 38, 39, 40. This is Highway 124. This is Highway 78. So you can see the landlocked 26. Most of Snellville, or a good part of Snellville, is sitting on that land. And it went from farmland to a country store to what it has here today. Now, the limited time I have, I'm not going to go any further tonight, and just say to you that I wanted to make 3 points tonight. One, the area that Snellville sits on came from frontier land, ceded by the Creek Indians in January 1818. The land was distributed by land lottery in 1820, and this is the map that shows the land that was distributed in that 1820 land lottery. What would happen is you qualified for the land to be in the lottery. For whatever reason, you paid a small fee. Somewhere, some bureaucrats like me were sitting at a desk, and somebody had a list. And it said Land District 5, lot number 1, and somebody pulled a name out of some sort of container. Bill Jones, Richmond County, landlocked 1, 5th Land District, landlocked 2. Thomas Smith, Camden County, landlocked 2. That's the way it went. That's how the land was given away. Once that occurred, then you were notified and you had to pay another fee to accept the draw or take up the land. That's an entire different set of research required that you can find out. I'm going to leave you with that and tell you that next week, if I am invited back, I'll talk about the first roads through this area and the earlier rural government. Thank you very much, Mayor, Council.
Mr. Ewing, we look forward to seeing you back at the first meeting in June. Thank you very much. That was very informative. Thank you again.